Anderson, the current president of the PMI La Crosse Rochester Chapter. I'd like to welcome you to join us for our 20th anniversary celebration. It's a landmark year for us, and it gives us an opportunity to really celebrate and honor our members and the long history of volunteer commitment and service. In the rest of this video, you'll see some wonderful commentary from our past presidents and really learn more about our 20-year story. It's a story of service, commitment, community, and growth through partnership. We've partnered with St. Mary's University, UW La Crosse, UW Platteville, and many more over the last 2 decades. This also gives us an opportunity to thank you for your membership and your commitment to project management and fostering and promoting the excellence of the project management discipline. I encourage you to take this opportunity to reach out to me or any of our current volunteers and share with us your ideas on what we can do to better serve you and our community. We're looking forward to working with you for the next 20 years of growth and amazing opportunity. My growth and my journey started in 2008 when I met Kay Weiss. She was one of our founding members and past presidents. From there, my journey started, and it literally shaped the future of my career through volunteer service and mentorship. Today, we offer our members the very same opportunities to serve, to be a mentee or a mentor. You can use our website to look up job postings in project management, connect with other professionals in the community, attend an amazing event either in La Crosse or Rochester, or just join us from your home as we offer hybrid events throughout the year. If you have new ideas and would like to share them, or you have interest being a volunteer, please let us know. I hope you can join us for our celebration in September in La Crosse or in Rochester, Minnesota in October. If you are there in person, make sure to find me. Reach out and say hi. I'd love to connect with you and learn more about how we can better serve you, our member. So enjoy the video, enjoy the celebration, and thank you again for supporting our chapter and the long legacy our volunteers create by partnering with you and our community. Take care.
My name is Kay Weiss, and I was a founding member for our PMI chapter 20 years ago. The reason I started the chapter was because when I got into project management, we didn't have any other project managers at my company. And so in order to connect with other project managers and get some education, I was traveling all the time to Rochester. Actually, it was more Minneapolis, and to Madison on the other end. And then I pretty soon thought, La Crosse should have its own chapter. And when I looked into it, it turned out that because Madison kind of had the zip codes for our area, that I would have to get permission from Madison to be able to start a new chapter in La Crosse. And when I contacted Madison, I talked to the PMI chapter president at the time there. Her name is Janet Atkinson. And I expected them to not really like the idea, because they needed to, wanted to increase their numbers and have that membership funding and everything. But she was so wonderfully supportive. She said, not only will we support you in setting up a La Crosse chapter, just kind of emotionally, we will help you with the process. There's lots of paperwork. And she said they would help with that if needed. And they also granted us $2,000 to start a PMI chapter checking account to give us a jump start. So they were wonderfully supportive. At the time of starting, I thought the most important thing was to be able to get that, you know, education and then the people connection with other professional project managers, because you can go to school, you can go get your master's degree in project management, go get your PMP. You know, those things don't require a local chapter, but what you really benefit from a local chapter in terms of is the importance of the networking, the people connections, the you know, building those professional friends. And that's what the chapter really did. And it did that for me on a personal level locally, but it also helped me establish some really excellent national and even global friends. You know, I live down here in Central Florida now in the Villages, and I've had a number of old PMI friends visit. As a matter of fact, just for lunch today, we had my old mentor who I met through PMI. He lives in Staten Island, and he and his wife, Barbara Salatis, come down to the Villages and visit us all the time. And that was because of PMI. I'd really like to say a special thank you to all of the chapter volunteers and members. It really is, makes me feel warm-hearted to know that this is the 20th year anniversary for the PMI chapter, and that you have all stuck together, done so well through especially the challenges over the past years with COVID in particular. And I've heard really great things about the chapter, and want to say a sincere thank you, heartfelt thank you from me to you. Hello.
I started with the chapter with Kay Weiss when she initially decided to found the chapter and talk to me about PMI and what it was and what it meant. And so I was on the initial board and the committee to develop the chapter with Kay. And that was a great experience. And then it was a great experience. We had a great foundation from Kay's leadership, and we were able to continue to grow and expand the business areas that we got involved with our chapter. You know, initially we were primarily information technology and some engineering. I noticed in one of those slides there was a question about, there was one company that the chapter members were mainly from in the early days. And that was Train Company, and where I worked at the time. We've been able to expand it into healthcare, commercial construction, manufacturing, in addition to engineering and information technology. So I think that's great. It just continued to grow and thrive. The opportunity for networking, the professional growth, and opportunity to meet people in the same career path that I was in. Also, the opportunity to grow my skills as well as mentor others. Some of the things that I remember most fondly were visiting different businesses and seeing their projects that they had implemented in their workspace. And, that always makes it very interesting. I think one thing that never changes is it's really important to listen and ask a lot of questions and ask the right questions. People have different styles of communication and different ways of learning. So those are important things to take into consideration. One thing that always stuck with me personally is everyone has a story, and you don't always know what's going on in another person's life. They're most likely not trying to jeopardize your project, but they have things going on, and you have to really always keep that in mind, I think. Well, I would like to congratulate everyone that's been part of the chapter, and especially the officers of the chapter. I know that that's a big commitment to take on, and a lot of extra work. So kudos to you for doing that, making that effort, and keeping the chapter. It's a nice legacy. So I'm happy to see that it's still thriving and growing.
Hi, my name is Anita Lauper Wood. Some of you remember me as Anita Lauper, I believe, when I started in the PMI chapter. And I was president in 2007 to 2008. In that year, we started, it was either the year before that but that year we were very busy with looking into and doing the research around changing the structure of our chapter from a La Crosse PMI chapter to La Crosse Rochester, or Rochester La Crosse PMI chapter. So that was a lot of work, researching the regulatory requirements and the restructuring, and then also the stakeholder management, right? Like we do as project managers. So that was the big milestone that year. One of my favorite memories of being on the board was the very fun board meetings at my house. I think some of you remember that. And also the very engaging and social meetings and events we had. I am very proud to have been part of this 20 years of growth and everything that we've accomplished as a chapter. I am still a member, proud to still be a member, and I might be in the audience when you're playing this. So I'm planning to attend the celebration. And I think we all should be very proud of what we did for, with a small organization, and helped our communities grow, and our professionals who are members and others grow as professionals.
Hi, my name is Wayne Gorski. I am a charter member of the local PMI chapter. I also served on the board as in events as vice president, and then I was president from 2008 until 2010. So the one thing I think that's most memorable to me back when I was president is that we were really trying to incorporate Rochester. Today with Zoom calls and team meetings, it's so easy. It doesn't matter where you live in the world. Back at that time, we didn't have that. And so, you either had a meeting in La Crosse or you'd have your meetings in Rochester. And so there was really a lot of conversation between the board members of the La Crosse chapter and the team of individuals that was trying to create something new in Rochester. And so looking back now, it seems like it should have been easy. But I think because of that, it created a little bit of, I don't want to say tension, but it was just a little bit of just kind of a leveling off. And to make sure that, number one, we provide a good networking experience. We can provide, good speakers and things to both La Crosse and to Rochester. But then at the same time, making sure that you don't lose the identities of both of the communities. The real value, I think, of having the chapter is the networking and the ability just to talk to other project managers who they're doing similar jobs, but it might be in different, obviously it's going to be in different companies, different industries, and even different locations, La Crosse versus Rochester. And, I hope that what today's project managers, today members are doing is, don't just go to the meeting and listen to the speaker. You can get on TED Talks, you can listen to speakers all day long. To me, the real benefit is to go and talk to each other and listen. Because it's amazing as you get to know different people, how many things, even though you're in a different company, different location, you have the similar problems, right? And typically that's where you gravitate to, are the problems. And how did you solve it? What are you getting through? That's, to me, the real value that having a chapter brings. And, if you're part of the chapter and you're not taking advantage of that, just start. So from a charter member and a past board member, congratulations on 20 years. Hopefully there's more than 20 years to come. Hi.
So I'm Heather Kuyak-Kuhn. I am currently working at Mayo Clinic Health System in La Crosse. I'm an operations administrator, and I work with several of our medical specialties departments. So I'm responsible for the operations of those areas. And I was president of the La Crosse PMI Rochester chapter back in 2008 and 2009, when it was still just the La Crosse PMI chapter. So some of the more memorable things to me, I was a member member of the board, I think for about 3 years. I will admit I don't remember what the first title actually was, but I was responsible for helping engage with the speakers that we had come. And then I was vice president and then president. But one of the probably the most memorable parts of my presidency was when we really had started talking about creating or changing our chapter from being the La Crosse chapter to the La Crosse Rochester chapter. So we were getting a lot of feedback from our members that were from some of the more prominent businesses in Rochester about, hey, you know, there's a lot of us that are from the Rochester area. Let's kind of change the chapter and recognize that. So a group of us had actually gone to Mayo in Rochester and had a meeting with some of the stakeholders there, and gathered their input, and kind of started down that path of how do we maintain the identity that we had created, but also adapt to the changes that were happening and our newer membership, so that the name didn't officially change until after my presidency, but we kind of started down that path. I think the biggest benefits I had was definitely the networking with other people that didn't work at the same organization as me and just learning from them. I think, you know, even when I first got involved with the PMI chapter and then became on the board, learning from Kay Weiss, who had been the original organizer of our chapter and getting it to be an official chapter, learning from her and other people that worked at different organizations than I did, was a huge benefit. And then I would say the other benefit that I had was, you know, not just on the board, but just meeting other members, but having that opportunity to have a way to earn CEUs that I needed is always a benefit. And back then there wasn't it's like it's a million years ago, but there weren't as many virtual options. So whereas today there's a million virtual options, but back then it was a lot more in person, and it can just be a challenge to get all the CEUs that you needed. So that was a really large benefit as well. I do think too that it helped me career wise to obtain my PMP, which I will admit I have let lapse since then, just because my role has changed so much in what I do now. But having that goal in place and having people to help me know what is the best way to achieve that was a big benefit too. I just want to say congratulations to 20 years of the La Crosse Rochester PMI chapter. Keep doing what you're doing. Keep staying relevant for the members. And we really appreciate everything that the board members and other members do. So I'm Heather.
I'm Ajay Singh. I work for US Bank as a portfolio manager, and I was a past president of La Crosse Rochester Chapter in 2013 and 14. One of the significant work during my time was this name change projects, and during my time was the execution of it. So when I say execution, implementing that brand name change. When I talk about the name change, you know, website change, logo change, URL change, social media changes, internal document like, you know, policy document, bylaws changes, financials, IRS document changes, and we had to put together a marketing plan. I always give advice to, you know, hear what customers are saying, right? Always, you know, if you don't change, if you continue doing the same thing, we're not going to grow. So, but change based on what customer wants. When I say customer are your members, non-members. There are people who are not coming to your events. Actually, there are many members not coming to the event. There are many people who used to come to events before but not coming now. They are your partners, your sponsors. How you can get feedback. I think you guys are doing great job. You know, members are growing. I could keep seeing the feedback. You know, things are going well. Everything is going. But you know, if you're talking about the next, you know, 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, 5 years, if you're talking about future, you know, you have to come up with some changes, some new ideas. You know, so that's all. I wish all the best to you, chapter, and congratulations for the 20th year of anniversary.
Hi everybody, this is Steve Hack. I was the La Crosse Rochester Chapter President from 2014 to 2015. So 2014 to 2015, I know that we were really focused on growth, on chapter growth. And to do that, what we really wanted to do was to make the events as value-driven as possible. So as we were making our strategy at the beginning of 2014 for the season, we made a goal of let's increase our participation for these events by 25%. So it seemed like a pretty good goal at the time, and we were able to accomplish that. And so that means the La Crosse location increased participation, averaged 24 participants per event, and in Rochester we averaged 47 participants per event, 47, which seems almost impossible, but yeah, we really were focusing on kind of the things that we're focusing on now, I think, which is let's make sure that we have great events, let's make sure we have good speakers, let's make sure we have good topics. The advice I'd give to our current leadership in the chapter and participants and members would be kind of the same advice that was given to us when I was president, and that is don't bite off more than you can chew, as we're coming up on a new season. So I remember at the beginning of our season, we were in our strategy session for this season, and we had all of these things that we wanted to work on and get better at. And so there were things like, let's reach out to the schools and get very involved with schools, let's get very involved with organizations. Virtual events were just maybe possible by then, so we wanted to dabble with that. And we did do all of those things a little bit, but what we really focused on was growing our chapter, growing the participation, and volunteerism. Those were the three main goals. So I'd say set 2 or 3 main goals and really do those well like we did. And along those lines, I would say keep on doing what we're doing here. We have excellent events, great speakers, great topics with those events, and we should just advertise the heck out of those and show that there is really good value there. And then for our participants or our members, when they go to those events, especially the face-to-face ones, don't go there just to sit in the corner, of course. Participate, volunteer your ideas during the presentations, ask questions during the presentations, before and after the presentations. Make sure that you talk with people, don't be afraid. It's all about networking, and you're gonna feel that it's really given you some value if you get done with an event and you've met a couple of new people. Hey, La Crosse Rochester Chapter, happy 20th anniversary. Hi, everybody.
So my name is Jackie Rasmussen. Some of you that have worked with me at Mayo Clinic may know me as Jackie Wright here at work. I've been part of the chapter for many years, but served in a president role from 2015 till 2021. Prior to that, I also was a vice president for Steve Hack, who I credit with getting me engaged in the board, and also VP of events for Rochester. I would have to say one of the highlights was the collective effort we did with the Rochester Community and Technical College to create our own PDD, or Professional Development Day. So we started the conference in collaboration with them in, I think it was 2013, and we had 70 people in attendance. By the time we got to 2019, we had pushed over 235. And in fact, one year we were able to engage Frank Salatis, who, if many of you know, is the founder of International IPM Day. So really branching out and having that great event here locally for not just our colleagues within Mayo Clinic that I know many of, but the communities of La Crosse and the surrounding Rochester area. On top of that, we also did an exchange with some sister chapters in the Wisconsin and Minnesota metro area that we went to their professional development days and they came to ours. So it was a wonderful time to be able to collaborate and exchange great ideas. Stay engaged. It's what you make of it. It's only as good. You only get out what you put into it. And that might sound a little cliche, but I think the value of serving has been some of the incredible professional relationships and friendships that I've maintained over the years, whether it's through chapter meetings, just volunteering for a one-time event, attending some of our Region 2 or our national conferences. I've met some wonderful people that I still stay in contact with. I think it also grows your leadership skills because you're really leading an association as well as learning project management tools and techniques. The other piece of that, I think, is just the knowledge you glean from other organizations to think about things differently and how you might change some impact to your own organization by taking all that in. It was a really humbling experience, great group of volunteers and board members that I worked with, and many friendships from chapter members as well. Congratulations on 20 years, and proud to be part of it for many of those years and continue to be a member. Some of the great things that you've done and continue to do will impact lots of future project managers and business analysts throughout their careers.
My name is Wally Aligbade, past president of the La Crosse Rochester Product Management Chapter. I also work at Mayo Clinic. I'm the Director of Strategy Management Services in our labs, overseeing our innovation pillars. So thinking about like diagnostic tests, like COVID tests, cancer tests, and then also just a lot of really cool and innovative stuff. And also the president of the Rochester branch of the NAACP. In terms of I guess accomplishments, during my tenure, it's always hard when you're trying to think, well, what have we accomplished? I think, when I first came in, I was, this was before COVID, but then I was also the president during COVID. So, so there was really a shift. We saw our membership was growing, prior to COVID. We were in a strong financial position. And then after COVID, we obviously saw a big downturn in terms of membership as people were leaving the area, and safety was really important. I think my work in the Mayo Clinic also, and specifically in the labs and creating those tests, I understood how important it was for our members to be safe. So we really switched to virtual offerings. The good news I felt was that before even COVID, we had it on our strategic plan, because we had done a strategic planning process and we were actually going into virtual, but COVID just sort of leapfrogged that. So we didn't have to change our strategy because this was actually all part of our plan, but we did not know the sense of urgency that would have to do it. So that was a key. I think, we're in a very strong financial position. We were very judicious in terms of what we did. And then also more from a community engagement and DEI perspective, diversity, equity, and inclusion, PMI at the national level definitely made that a focus. And so at the chapter level, cascaded that down. I know one of our, the first black keynote speaker we had for our chapter, our annual product management chapter. So that was doing our tenure, and the board was all aligned in that. I'm like, well, wait a minute, we haven't done this before, right? So again, bringing diverse perspectives was really important. When I first came to the chapter, I recall that, first of all, it was KYs that informed me about the chapter, and when I saw Steve, we gave each other hugs, and so it's really inviting. And I think we need to capture that essence, where you're invited, diverse people of different backgrounds, different thoughts, right? So I think that's important. I think it's important to understand cultural responsive leadership, and I share that at the PMI, the national level. I think that's a skill set. You don't maybe fully have to understand it, but you have to appreciate it. You have to lean into it, and that's sort of where that is the future, because this diversity is just increasing, right? PMI, congratulations. I can't believe it's 20 years and 20 more years to go.